Dogs down south. Dogs down south. Go down. Right here, right now. Dogs down south. Dogs down south. We bark loud. We stand proud. Red and black all day long. This is where my heart belongs. Dogs down south.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Dogs Down South. Hope you're having a great night. We are live here on YouTube, Dogs Down South, as well as Facebook, Dogs Down South. We got my man, Richman. What's up, Rich? How are you, buddy?
Good.
Good to have you on tonight. We got all the fellas, man. What's up, Fish? How are you?
What's up, man? Good. I'm still bobbing my head to that new song, dude.
Dude, come on, man. I just thought, it's a new season. Maybe some new jingles would be great. But hey, we're gonna hop right in, guys. It's awesome to be here this week. Let's see real quick. Let me hop on my counter, my handy dandy day counter, and we are officially 24 days. 24 days from football between the hedges against Tennessee State and Sanford Stadium. It's exciting, man. It's really exciting. So, before we hop in, tonight's show is solely going to be based around, they snuck in. So today was a day off for the Dogs. They had a mandatory day off where it was basically based around a lot of team meetings, a lot of classroom stuff going on. But some coaches were available for interviews. So we get to hear from Mike Bobo, who will break down what he said in a couple areas. Trey Scott, you don't normally hear from Trey Scott a lot throughout the year. We'll hear from him. We'll hear from Glenn Schumann, Travaris Robinson, as well as Todd Hartley. But before we do that, it's kind of an icebreaker. I'll go to you, Rich, first. Man, what do you've been hearing some news at camp? What's some of the most exciting news you've heard out of camp that's really got you pumped up for the season?
Dude, the thing that's got me interested, Ellis Robinson's going to be shut down corner, and then maybe on the other side we might have a shut down corner. That's some exciting stuff right there.
Very, very few teams, I agree with you, very few teams can actually look at not only their defense and have two SEC shutdown corners as well as depth, right? You mentioned Gentry Williams, the Oklahoma transfer. Man, a lot of good depth at both cornerback positions. So I agree, man, that is exciting. I'm excited about the defense in general. Fish, what about you, man? There's a lot of news coming out. I've been covering a lot of it as well on our TikTok page, but what's exciting you the most about the news from fall camp?
I'm going to go with the D-line. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's looking good. Jordan Hall, Elijah Griffin, I think they're going to make a huge, huge difference this year for us, and they're going to help that pass rush on the edges. They're going to take up a lot of space in the middle. Really excited about that.
Agree. Totally agree, man. There's been so much news, and if you haven't done so, go over to our TikTok page. It's growing. We are very close to getting towards that 4,000 subscriber mark. So that's exciting. I've been covering every single day of fall camp. And so there's updates. I even made an update from the off day on Saturday where I thought it was pretty cool. They had a little tribute to the 1996 Olympics. The players went over to the softball field and they did a home run derby.
Nice.
Ryan Puglisi showed why he has some baseball in his background. He hit a few nice jacks. London Humphreys hit a few bombs. They did some swim team relays over at the Aquatic Center, had a long drive competition. So it's pretty cool how they're continuing to work the culture as well. Kirby's really good about that. I think that connectivity, when you get into the middle and the end of this year, the connectivity as a team is going to help us win big ball games. And so it was an off day, but it was still a connectivity day for Georgia. So the plan tonight is to hop into these interviews. And so to do so, though, and we'll piggyback off of each interview, but I'm going to tell you kind of where we're going to go with Mike Bobo's interview. He interviewed today, and obviously you probably know exactly some of the questions that were fired his way because it's the questions everybody's asking. One of the main questions was, how's the wide receiver room looking? Because everybody, it's kind of like when that first dialogue of what's the biggest thing you need to see this year from Georgia. It's, somebody says at the wide receiver room, and then it just kind of catches on because that's kind of the beat that happens. And then who's going to replace the productivity of Zachariah Branch, which I think that's a fair question, but I also think it's an unfair question because we lost more than Zachariah Branch. We lost Dylan Bell. We lost
Oscar
we lost
Dell.
Colby Young. We lost the transfer
Oscar
from
Dell.
Texas A&M. Yeah. but we've lost just a lot of productivity in that room, period. So I thought it would be, I'm going to play the key points. We're going to play, let me drop the screen share in here and try to get this right, throw it up. I thought it'd be cool to play Bobo's clip that they asked about. The first one here is about, let's see here, let me look at my notes. So we're looking at 225. So we're looking at the productivity to replace by Zach Branch. Here's what Bobo had to say.
Yeah, Zachariah Branch, which is a big part of your offense a season ago. How do you go about replacing him and tailoring this offense to the talents that you guys do have?
Yes, it's a good question. We lost a lot of production, and a lot of that production was Zachariah Branch. And we lost a lot of experience last year with some skill players, the 4 receivers and the tight end. So that's what we're in the midst of doing right now, trying to find out who we are and the best way for us to move the ball offensively, to control the game, to be explosive, and we're in a competition for that. It's not just necessarily the receiver position. It's not just the tight end position. It's trying to figure out a balance of what we do best as an offense, what our quarterbacks do best as an offense, and where we're going to tailor, who and how we're going to try to get touches to those people. So I think every year offensively, you're a little bit different. I think everybody in this room knows, we want to run the ball here. You got to be able to run the ball. You got to be able to stop the run. And that method of winning football games is never going to change here at the University of Georgia under Coach Smart. But as an offense, besides running the ball, how are we going to be explosive? Who's going to get those touches? And that's our job as coaches to figure that out.
So right in there. So I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna let you guys hop in. But I'll go to you, Fish, first. What did it sound like to you from Bobo with that statement? What did it sound like to you?
That he's not sure who it's going to be or where it's going to come from, but it sounds like there's a lot of competition, which is a good thing. That means we got a lot of guys that are just as good as the other, and they're trying to figure out exactly who needs to do what and who needs to be where. And because Zach Branch, I know, is who everybody's talking about, but Dylan Bell was a huge part of our offense, the past couple of seasons, and he's going to be hard to replace. The receivers got big shoes to fill. I think the tight end room is going to be fine, but there's trying to figure out who's going to fit where, and make the most sense at what position and who's going to help us out the most.
They're trying to figure out which receivers can block, because last year we had really good blocking downfield. The year before, we were terrible at blocking downfield. We couldn't do anything, and so I have a feeling that they're looking for guys that can catch a ball, but they're actually looking at guys that can block.
Yep.
Yeah, a little bit of both. I mean, the first thing that caught me was the Kirby-esque. I mean, it almost sounds like Kirby has a meeting before he lets these guys into the room, right? He's like, this is what we talk about, guys. This is what we don't talk about. We don't give any food to munch on. We don't give any snacks out. We don't give any trail of breadcrumbs. And, you heard him. He said, we want to, it's almost, but it's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like, we want to run the ball. We want to stop the run. Everybody is saying that. So here's my thing. It makes you think to yourself, if Kirby set this precedent out for the spring where he introduced this thing of, we want to be explosive on offense this year, and we want to figure out how we're going to cause chaos, and we want to get the quarterback on the ground way more than previous years. You got to know that that's probably sinking in, right? So I think the productivity, I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. The productivity for who's going to block, and you're going to hear it from multiple coaches that say this. They say it all the time. If you don't know your position, if you don't know what your responsibilities, and you don't know the playbook, you're not going to play here, right? You got to know how to be a corner. You got to know how to be a well-rounded wide receiver, tight end. So I totally agree. If you had to, I mean, I know I've made a few videos on this, but you guys got some just guesses on where do you think some of this productivity is going to come from, whether it's the tight ends? Like, is there some names that you guys want to throw out? Rich, I'll go to you first. What, you got some names that you want to throw out that you think will be just not kind of experimental, but like, this is probably where some of this is going to come from?
Well, I'm thinking, I don't have anything to base this on except for the spring game, but I'm thinking Prothro is going to hit the field, and I think he's going to be more slot than tight end. I don't know why. I just got that feeling. So I'm thinking there's going to be some productivity that comes there. I think the long question is Talon Taylor how's he gonna? I don't know. We all want to see him be super successful, but we hadn't quite seen it yet.
Which, to add to that, we'll get into it in a little bit, but I've also heard the defense is, when you're going out there playing against possibly, if not the best possible defense this year in the SEC and in a top 3 to 5 defense preseason. Obviously, we don't have numbers to back that up yet, but
Yeah.
I'm hearing the defense is just causing all kind of damn problems for everybody. So it's hard to really get a glimpse in the first 5 to 6 days of camp. What about you,
if these
Fish?
guys can figure out how to
ahead.
get a little separation on these defensive backs, then we should be all right during the season, right?
We'll know in these scrimmages. Yeah. First scrimmage is this Saturday. And I would tell you, if we see some receivers really getting some separation and having some good days against DeMello Jones and Ellis Robinson, yeah, I don't think we have much to worry about. I feel like those are 2 of the best cornerbacks. And I'm not being biased, guys. I don't think you guys are either. I think those 2 of the best cornerbacks just by looks alone and what we've seen, the Ellis Robinson transformation. And the first big step in that was when they just took Daniel Harris out last year and just put him out there and said, we got faith in you, right? You're going to mess up. You're going to do some things. But when he stopped playing, when Ellis Robinson stopped playing with somebody in his rearview mirror, that's where Ellis Robinson transformed, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, yes, Richman, I think if we're seeing separation and we're seeing some wins on the outside against these cornerbacks, yeah, we're gonna have a decent year at wide receiver. What about you, Fish?
No, I think my guy, my sleeper guy, is going to be Sokovie, White Hilton. I think he's going to have a lot to do in that slot position because he's taken a lot of reps at punt return, but I think he's going to squeeze in there. I think he's a Zach Branch-esque type of dude. Like, they're kind of built the same, both fast, both quick, both hard to tackle because you can't get your hands on them. So, and Dwight Phillips too. I think he's going to have a big part to do in the passing game this year.
I agree. Do you want to add something, Rich? I know you were.
Something else a narrative that's going around. They're talking about how the teams are beginning to simplify everything.
Mm-hmm.
Have y'all heard of talking about that? And it kind of makes a lot of sense because a lot of these guys are coming in. We're going to see some freshmen hit the field this year. So they've had no exposure whatsoever to our program. So it's interesting to hear that they're simplifying these defenses and offenses for that matter. And but the bigger question is how does that, what is that going to look like for us quality wise of the game?
Yeah, I agree. Bobo went into. I put out a video a couple of days ago, and I mentioned that I feel like the tight end room is just absolutely loaded, and it has to be a situation where that tight end room can take pressure off some of these young wide receivers this year. Now, the first comments you get are all the Bobo haters and everybody going, can you make sure and get this message to Mike Bobo to actually target them, right? So I thought it would be cool to play the video. He had a little excerpt today also in, what we can expect from the tight end room and how we're working through utilizing this very talented tight end room. And then I want to talk a little bit about the tight end room. Let's listen what Bobo had to say about
looks like for you guys. You've featured a lot of different skill players at different places over the years. Do you look at a depth chart and say, we have all these tight ends and kind of explore some of those possibilities or sort of, does that just kind of come through fall camp and dependent on who emerges?
I think a little bit of both. I think you look at what you've got coming back and you self-scout yourself, and then you do studies of other teams and how they've used personnel and personnel groupings, and that's stuff that we did in the off season. Different ways to use tight ends out of different personnel groupings, different ways to get guys touches. You do all kind of studies, and then things kind of evolve through fall camp. Who emerges? Is there a young guy that emerges? Is, these guys a little bit better than you thought? Are we more explosive in this personnel group? So it's an evolving thing that as a coach, you're trying to find the right mixture of who to put on the field and when, and try to help your team get first downs and be explosive. But I do think.
So I got to stop it right there because he's giving us a little bit of he's given us a buffet of something right there. I heard we're looking at other ways to be creative and get these guys the ball. Why would you need to look at other ways to get these guys the ball if we didn't look and go, we're going to have to, at least for the first 4 to 6 games, we're going to have to find a way to not make these wide receivers feel like if we're not running the ball effectively like we should be, which we should be, and we need to get some explosive in the air, we're going to find ways to get these guys the football. The second thing I would tell you is that he said it too. He was like, you have to look at who is being explosive. So if you have some of the guys that, and we're going to play the clip in a little bit about Jaden Riddell that Todd Hartley talks about. If you have some of these guys that are just, because what I'm hearing is that there's a little less talk about whether they're a tight end or a wide receiver this year. They're a little less talk, and even a running back, because Fish, you mentioned Dwight Phillips. They're talking more about who is explosive and just get them the ball. If we learned anything from Zach Branch last year, it was, you can't go off of height. You can't go off of, although he was fast, but just speed, just route running, because we all know the terrifying, storylines that every Dog fan said, well, we can only get it to him in a bubble screen. We can only get him to him on a,
Sure.
on a curl rate, whatever. But I think to say all that is, and I don't know if you guys would agree with this, is like, I think we're just given the storyline of whoever's playing with FPE is getting the ball. They're getting the ball, whether they're a wide receiver or a Caden Prothrow in the slot or a Jaden Riddell line out wide, Brock Bowers style. We're going to get people the ball that can catch it and make explosive plays.
Yep.
What do you guys think about that? You guys chime in on that.
It's when you have a plethora of, people, it sounds like we've got a lot of talent and a lot of guys that deserve the ball, that want the ball, that it's going to benefit us to get them the ball, lining them up out of position, tight end, split out wide, exactly like Brock Bowers. That's a very good comparison because he lined up all over the place. And, he was doing reverses. He was lined out wide. He'd line up in the slot. He'd line up, at normal tight end position. And we got him the ball, found a lot of good ways. Stetson Bennett, and Mike Bobo were really good. Or not Mike Bobo, but what's his name? The old OC. Todd Monken.
Monken,
Yeah,
Monken.
they were, he was really good at getting our, skill guys the ball, the playmakers, the explosive guys. And, we're going to have to turn this into a drinking game, I think, because every time we hear the word explosive, you need to take a shot, because that's definitely the theme. We've said it between the three of us quite a few times, and I think Bobo has said it 5 or 6 times in the 2 clips. You can tell that's a big theme, and that makes me feel good because that's something that we were missing, that we fell short on a lot last year.
I'll kindly do that if we're explosive. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, I think there's so much talent in the tight end room that if they can be creative with that, that's also going to take some pressure off this wide receiver core that we're, wondering about, and maybe it's going to open up some stuff for those guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because early in the season, if we focus a lot on our tight ends and all of our explosiveness is there, it's going to eventually open it up for our wide receivers.
Right.
They just have to take advantage of that.
No, I totally agree. You guys are barking, man. You guys are on it. Because Hartley, and I will say this too, Todd Hartley, before we listen to his first comment, is I am grateful for Todd Hartley. I don't wish this. I hope I'm not opening up a can of worms, but I don't know how this guy's not a head coach. He recruits like crazy. He has a great acumen. Yeah, I know, right? Last time I did this with Georgia basketball and maybe Georgia baseball. I don't know.
Oh my God!
But with Todd Hartley, he has great football acumen. He talks really well. His character, you can see why he had the high character, and you can see why players want to come to Georgia when you're recruited by him. So we got a couple of clips of him that we hop in straight in on. I think the first clip we had here, I think, is a good clip to listen to because he's talking a little bit about Caden Prothrow. So let's hop in. Let's listen to him talk about Caden Prothrow a little bit.
He's got on campus, and how unique is that skill set with the height, the size, the speed, all that stuff that could allow him to be split out more, as a freshman.
Yeah, I think you saw that in recruiting. He was one of those guys I talked about projection, right? he didn't play tight end very much. At Bowden High School, he was a receiver, and based off his frame and his length, we project him to be a really good tight end down the road. That does not mean he's not a tight end right now, but his skill set is he can run routes and he can catch passes, and he has length and catch radius, and that's kind of his advantage. But for his long-term development, he's probably going to be drafted as an NFL tight end. So it's our job to get him ready to do that. But in the short term, we also want to showcase what he does well. And maybe that is in the slot a little bit more. Maybe that is a little bit tight end. So we're going to put in positions that helps our offense the best. How can he contribute us and for us to be successful on offense, but also keeping in mind, what is his long-term development. But he is very unique as far as his ability to catch the football and, his matchup ability, but he has a long way to go to. He has a lot to learn.
So here's what I'm hearing, man. I don't know what you call this, man, but I'm hearing that we got kind of like a dinosaur who's just too good to not let go, not let him out the pen, man, not let him out the cage.
I'm telling you,
We
he's going
talked
to be on
about
the
this a
field.
little. Yeah, we talked about this a little bit. I don't think they can keep him off the field, man. He just
way.
always was open during G-Day, man. And if you remember this correctly, he was wearing a black jersey, so that means he was playing against the ones, and so he just was always freaking open. And you can hear Todd Hartley, man. Like, he's just a truthful guy, man. He's like, look, and I feel like that some of these assistant coaches, this has been a little bit of a Kirby-esque. We talked about this early on when we started doing this podcast was, is Kirby ever going to get to the point where he trusts some of these young guys with all this talent coming in, and how he's going to feel about hurting feelings? And if you've been in this program for 3-4 years, I think we're kind of getting to the point where we're starting to see what we used to talk about with the best guy's going to play. And it doesn't matter if we're hurting feelings or not, because no offense, probably all you guys are making some kind of NL money. So it really doesn't matter, right? It's wild, man. Second clip I'll play really quick, and then we'll kind of bunch all this together and talk through it. Jaden Riddell. I haven't talked much about Jaden Riddell, but I just knew it. I knew it. He had a really good day between the hedges at the open practice on Sunday, where Glory members were allowed to go in and check it out. I think he caught like 2 touchdown passes, but we saw Jaden Riddell break out during G-Day. But I don't know about you guys. Sometimes there's like a breakout guy during G-Day, and like all of a sudden we just don't see him in the fall, right? Where'd he go, right? I remember the kid, I forget his name, the short kid who used to return punts, who would always show out during G-Day. And I was like, where's he at? And he was returning some punts, and he ended up transferring out, but he never saw any playing time as far as at wide receiver. But I'm like, kid's having like 200-yard games in G-Day, and then we don't see anything from him. Like, what happened? Where'd he go? So I think that's interesting to know that Kirby's trusting a little more the process in that area. Let me really quick. You guys want to add anything about Caden Prothro while I'm queuing up this next clip?
Just that he mentioned, he kept saying, long term when he was talking about him. So I think, yes, like you said, he's too good not to try to get on the field. And if that means we have to put him at XYZ, whatever, then so be it. But they want him to be a tight end, it sounds like to me, because that's what they want to develop him as.
Yes.
Which is fine. But I mean, I'm excited just to see anything. Give me something, just anywhere on the field. I'm good.
Right.
Let's go.
I agree. I mean, out of all these tight ends, Rich, I heard you say this, but is this true to form? Like, who are you most excited about at tight end? I mean, this is a really loaded question, right? Because
there's so many. I mean, you got an Elias kid that's 6'7". You got Prothro that is got like cat-like abilities. You got Lawson Lucky, who's just been steady. And there's a couple of more. I can't even.
Don't forget about Barbour.
Yeah.
I mean, that dude, if he hadn't got hurt last year, we would have seen a lot more of him.
Do you guys want me to slide?
If the wide
do you guys want me to
don't-
slide in the clip of Ethan Barbour? He talks about Ethan Barbour, and it gets you pumped up, dude. I might slide this in after this one. But who are you most, Rich? Who are you most excited about though? If you had to pick one, it's hard. This is probably one of the hardest questions you could ask.
Right now, I'm just excited about Prothro because that's what I saw in the spring game, and it kind of caught my eye. But last year I wanted to see that is it Ellis or Elias, the 6'7" guy? Elias. Dude, I wanted to see him. You always want to see that guy when you get down in the red zone because, let him go stand in the back of the end zone and just catch the high ball.
Right.
How can you not score in the red zone when you got a 6'7" tight end? How can you not?
That's why I'm like, give Todd Hartley whatever he wants, man. Like, if this guy, just give him what he wants, man. Like, there is never going. I mean, I don't say never, but it just feels like there's never going to be recruitment at the tight end position like we've gotten in the past 5 to 7 years.
It's definitely a
ridiculous.
historic room right now as far as all the talent that's in there.
It's crazy that we can have. I will find the Ethan Barber clip before we move on because I thought about doing it, but I didn't want to spend too much time on Todd Hartley. But it's now that you mentioned it, it's kind of unfair not to do it. But before we do that, let's listen to what he said about Jaden Riddell. This will kind of unearth some things people are asking about how Jaden Riddell is doing.
It's gonna be hard for anybody.
Oh, before I start that, this is a cool take too because he talks about a term that Monken used to use about he called players jokers, and they asked why did he call them that, and it's interesting because they still use the terminology, but I wanted to know why what they meant by it, and he explains it pretty cool.
At the top today, I want you to educate me a little bit. One on I've heard the term joker. Monken used it. Sometimes we see tight ends all over. And then secondly, just kind of the story of Jaden Riddell. I was at the deal Sunday. We saw him make a couple plays. Kirby's talked a lot about him. If you can expound on those two things.
Yeah, I'll start with Riddell. To me, he's everything that's good about college football. He came in and obviously he wasn't ready to play right away, and was a scout team player. Maybe got minimal reps. Even in practice with the first or second team offense. And trusted us. He trusted what we told him in recruiting. Okay. He comes into his second year and the same thing, he got better, but maybe he wasn't at the point where he could contribute last year in a significant role for us. You probably saw him in a couple 13 personnel packages where he had a couple plays here and there. And again, he trusted us. It goes back to the question I had over here about relationships. Like he trusted that relationship and what we told him in recruiting. And he waited his turn, and all he did was just go to work. He trusted Coach Sinclair in the weight room. He trusted Coach Bobo with how we're going to use him in our offense. He trusted Coach Smart with what Coach Smart told him in recruiting. And now after 2 years of not worrying about where should I go, how much money should I make, all the stuff that people concern themselves with, all the stuff that are distractions that actually maybe take you away from being the best player you can possibly be, he didn't listen to any of that. He just trusted the process. He grinded it out, and now he's got himself in position to possibly help us in a significant role this year. So, I mean, let's be honest, like that's rare nowadays, right? Like how often do you see that? But I think Coach Smart has done a phenomenal job of actually recruiting players that want to stay, that have low portability, that actually love Georgia and trust us and trust that we're going to have their development and what their best interest, that their future interest is that, that's what we're here to do. So he's trusted us, and I appreciate him for doing that. I think your first question is about Coach Monken using the word joker. Yeah, it's the, to me, tight ends in today's football, the ultimate value for an offense for the versatility that they can provide. If you have a guy in that role that can be a joker, your term, that could possibly line up in the slot and be, successful. Line up attached with his hand in the dirt and be successful. Line up in the backfield, all right, as maybe a sniffer or what people used to call a fullback, okay, and be successful. And then maybe go at X or Z receiver in motion, and even, heck, I'm for like handing the ball sometimes. Like if you have guys that have positional versatility, okay, positional value, the options that they can provide your offense, are limitless. And so, because that's
man, that right there gets you fired up, man. Not only hearing about Jaden Riddell, not only hearing about like just what this team in an NIL era and what these other teams are fighting, that the majority of this team is linked at the hip and they're not going places for the almighty dollar. and to hear them talk about it, it's just giving more hints, right? More hints about how they're going to use. I just think that they're giving hints in these interviews that, guys, I know you're worried about the wide receiver room, and the wide receiver room is going to be good, but we're not worried about wide receivers. We're worried about who is productive. Whether we're blinding them up in the slot, putting their hand in the ground, whatever we're doing, we're going to get the people the ball that can make.
Sounds like
get
he's got
explosive
some
plays.
jokers in the tight end room that could spread the field. You could have 4 of them out there.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's exciting, man. Fisher, you going to say something?
So raise your hand if you've ever heard a fullback called a zipper.
No, I raised my hand too. Really?
What's a zipper? Dude, that made me laugh. And then he used another term that I really like was portability. A low portability. I love that. That's great.
That's a good term.
Kirby loves that. That's what Kirby looks for. Kirby looks for dudes that want to come play at Georgia, not come in, if they don't get what they want or things don't go their way, they bounce. Like, I love that. That's a neat term. I like it.
I totally agree. I'm going to try to do my best to get this right on the dot to get the Ethan Barbour quote, and then we're going to move on really quickly. Let me try my best. Really, hold on a second.
Today.
An injury. How about resilience chances of that and doing that?
Here we go. Dude, I did pretty good.
Todd, when I
Here's the
talked to
Ethan Barbour.
Lawson last week, he was talking about Ethan, and he said he's one of the toughest guys he's been around. What have you seen as far as that goes? I imagine some of that was him working back from an injury.
How about resiliency, right? I mean, response. One of our words we use in our room is response. How do you respond to certain situations? Whether it's bad or good. Do you handle praise with humility? Okay. Do you handle, something bad with resiliency? He obviously had a catastrophic injury, and just the way that he worked, even last fall, to get himself in position to come back and start the Sugar Bowl. Y'all don't think about that. He broke his ankle game 2, and he worked so hard. He started the Sugar Bowl. Okay. So that says a lot about that kid's determination just to come back, and his resiliency, his response to, something bad that happened in his life. But, he's such a strong and powerful presence at the line of scrimmage in the backfield. He has heavy hands. I say he has Mike Tyson hands, man. Like when he puts his hands on you, like defenders feel it. You can see the air come out of the bag when he hits the air. You can see the air come out of their lungs when he puts his hands in their chest. So very strong, powerful hands, and he does a lot of things. He was a very well-rounded tight end, but physical at the point of attack. And the thing that I like about Ethan is, a very infectious attitude. Like, he plays with an edge. And in our game nowadays, the big thing last year with Coach Mark was FPE, right? Fire, passion, and energy. Well, one of the first ones to have a blue hat was who? Was Ethan. Because he just has that edge about him that you want to be around. Like, you want him around the players to be contagious, to get them fired up about football and the physicality. And, we were on this thing about grit this year, just having that grit. Like, he is the definition of grit in my mind, just because of.
Dude, I'm going to be honest with you. Todd Hartley might be my new favorite assistant coach. I think he gives more in his interviews. He even said at the end, he was like, somebody interviewed one of the guys asked the question and said, nobody's going to forget that quote about the air out of your lungs. And he said, really? He said, was it better than Schumann's interview? So he's a kind of a jokester too, man. So it's really cool. But dude, I like Todd Hartley, man. Like, he's giving us some really good content, man. He's looking and he's going, guys, all you guys are thinking about the wide receiver room. And I think we are giving you the biggest, what do you call it? Look right over here. Well, you're looking over here, but look what's going on over here. I really think that's what's happening, man. Hearing all that, obviously, we're going to move into Trey Scott and a little bit of the defense and stuff. What do you think about? What do you guys want to free for all into that? What do you think about the Todd Hartley quote?
So what do you call lining up 5 wide with nothing but tight ends? Like, what's that called? Like, what?
That's called a modern power lineup,
dude. But man,
especially
sounds
if you
like
got guys
Barbour
that
is
can
going to
put
be.
their hands on you and take the breath out of your lungs.
I know, right? Like, sounds like he's going to be the main blocking tight end.
Sounds like we got a fullback on our hands. A zipper.
Dude, a zipper. That's right.
A
zipper. We have a zipper. Dude, I mean, you're right,
I thought
dude.
a zipper was what holds my pants together.
I know, with the YKK on it, right? Like, it's hard not to get excited after listening to him talk about Barbour. and all the other tight ends. I mean, for real.
Hartley gets me pumped up, dude.
Yep.
That tight end room. I listened to Hartley today, and I was like, I don't know if I want to listen to anybody else. He was
I
good,
know, I
man.
don't want to come down.
He was good. He's my new. I'm just going to go ahead and say he's my new favorite assistant coach. I'm a Todd Hartley fan now.
Heck
Let's
yeah.
hop into defense a little bit. I thought it was not really just a lot of big time stuff, but I thought it was 3 key comments to hear from Glenn Schumann, the defensive coordinator, obviously Tavares Robinson, who's over the safeties, free safeties, and secondary, and then Trey Scott of the defensive line. This is what a lot of people are looking for. You know, how are we going to get to the quarterback this year? What are we doing to get to the quarterback this year? Well, I'm trying to make sure we play some clips so that our fans understand what we're doing in camp. So let's see what Schumann talks about. He talks a little bit about Chase Linton, who's a very talented young kid. Let's hear what. Let me make sure I got him up. Let's hear what he said.
Coach, what can you kind of tell us about Chase Linton and kind of his development over the offseason? Obviously, that was a guy that played a little bit in the Sugar Bowl. Kind of what have you seen from him since then?
Yeah, I think that like Chase is a really disruptive player, and he has, for a guy that's not, hey, he has length, but he's not, a ton of bulk. He's put on good bulk and strength, but like he has a lot of play strength. Okay, which is really important because you can be a big guy that doesn't play big. So he's some of the edges are heavier than him, but he throws his body around with kind of reckless abandon, which you need to do out there, and especially pulling guards, things like that, and his ability to transition rush. Okay, which is a big deal because like when you rush on third down and you're looking at 90% plus pass scenarios, like where you sub in your packages, all that other stuff, like that's great. A lot of people can generate pressure in those scenarios, but the ability to transition rush and go from playing run, okay, and getting into pass rush, like that twitch that he has and the kind of way he plays the game, it really translates in that area. And so I think that's what he has is
So man, listen. First off, I was really thankful to be able to hear some of these guys speak today. You know why? Because guys, we really have some good assistant coaches. Like we have one of the best assistant coach staffs and the staffs in all of college football.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show too, man, Schumann probably gets a bad rap, and I'm sure I've shot him some low blows on Saturdays sometimes, but to hear him explain that, he talks about how, he creates the chaos and just he throws his body around with reckless abandon. Like, those guys are coaching him up to just be very reckless, right? And Chase Linton's a name that people are like, well, who are these guys going to be? And I've talked about how Chris Cole looks. I've talked about how Zayden Walker looks. But Chase Linton's a name that is popping, that everybody needs to know his name and his number. Rich, I know earlier before we came on, you spoke a little bit about the defensive end, your worries about the edge. Like, talk to me after hearing Schumann speak to that. So tell me how you feel about the edge and what the biggest scenario is for us to get those edge rushers to the quarterback this year.
Well, I think part of that, we need the interior defensive lineman to break that, to break up the middle. That's going to help our edge rush. But the thing is, like that jack position, not only do they edge rush, but they set the edge on running plays, and they also do some pass coverage. So it's such a complicated position. It takes a freak to be able to play it. And the other things, like he talks about that reckless abandon, you got to have that, but you also got to have the finesse to get back out and do some pass coverage. It's a crazy position. That's why they pay these guys so much money for that position.
Right.
So that's one of the areas of concern I have. We've struggled with that for a few years, and I'm hoping these guys this year that they get it. They get the knack for it, because it can be a knack, it can be something that you gain experience in coaching and you fall into it. But it's very unnatural to, a straight edge rusher. All they got to do is come in on third down, lay their ears back and go. And that's easy. That's what you want to do.
Yeah. Ish, you want to add anything to that?
I think getting Gabe Harris healthy is going to be huge. And then my favorite linebacker, well, besides Raylan, is got to be Chris Cole, and he's going to have a part to play. And he's having a good camp. He had a good spring, good G-Day game. Been one of my favorite players. His growth from his freshman year or his first year to last year was like he must have doubled in size, and I can't wait to see what he looks like now. Like I'm just super super excited. Got a lot more faith this year in our pass rush than I had last year at any point.
He is. The talk is that he is a specimen, dude. Like you scan the field and you just stop and you're like, who is that? He's put on a little bit of weight, he's put on a little
If
muscle.
Chris has
he
a
looks
breakout
like
year, man, he could be a Butkus candidate for sure.
Yeah.
No kidding.
I say Butkus and I mean top 15 pick. I mean, just depending on how it plays out. It's a heavy quarterback year, but this kid's gonna be, I mean, he's a good kid too. I mean, people are gonna twist it a little bit. I mean, obviously he had the off season. We don't really know how that punishment is gonna look for his off season squabble with, the big R word that we don't talk about in Athens, but everybody else talks about, but
That's right.
racing or street racing or speeding or however the hell you want to call it. But like, I mean, it's just funny too, because these other colleges and these fans act like that they don't have the problem. It's just because our ear is not dialed into the University of Texas or Oregon or Indiana. That's the only reason why we hear it, right?
Kirby needs to go ahead and put a little bit of that money aside and buy Road Atlanta and just take the guys over there on the days that they have the contests and put them in those cars with 800 horsepower and let them run the track.
If they got a niche, if
Get
they
it
got
out
an
of your
itch where they
system,
need to go
boys.
fast, I know. There you go. Because
Get it out of
Athens
your
ain't the
system.
place.
It's getting to the point, man, where it's going to be mandatory. You only get a scooter, scooter or a golf cart. You pick.
Yep.
And if you want a car, you can get it after. NIL will pay for you a car, but that's only if you have no speeding tickets before the end of your turn. I don't know, man. They could get way interesting, but
no scooters, man. We've gone from a country of Harley Davidson riders to electric scooters, and I'm not real proud of that.
The way these guys are driving, well, I don't know. The e-bikes are about as freaking dangerous, man. But
I know it.
But anyways, let's hop in. So I got a couple more. Travaris Robinson. It was good to hear from him. Travaris has been kind of hid in the background for a little bit since he came to Georgia, but he's a guy that has worked with Will Muschamp, which will be a very much an asset to us this year, and Kirby will as well. We don't play Texas in the regular season, but I have this feeling that we will come across them this year. But he's worked with Will Muschamp. He's obviously worked with Saban, and he's obviously now with Kirby. But I thought this gave a really good look at. A lot of people are going, well, why is everybody really high on the defense this year? And we know there's a lot. We got 13, 14 returning starters, and so I thought it was cool to hear him talk about the safeties and some of their some names that he's throwing out, but also some of their strengths and kind of how it's been going in that race back there. So let's really quick see what Tavares talked about.
How has the competition at safety, how
jump right into it, huh? Go ahead.
There's a lot of guys with a lot of
yeah.
body styles, body types, skill sets. How are you guys managing that group? And has anyone started to stand out a little bit?
Well, let me answer it this way. We have some talented guys in our safety room. I'm excited about all of them. We got some acquisitions, and we got guys that we changed position a little bit. Dink's playing a little more safety than he played last year, where he was kind of playing more star. You got Kyron Jones in the mix. You got Jamali Riddle in the mix. You got Ty Boogie and Blake Stewart. You got a lot of guys fighting for those spots, and obviously we got KJ Bolden. So right now, just trying to figure out, number one, what to do. And right now, I don't know if we kind of understand it like this, but the install is a bunch. All right, so the first couple of days, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, you're trying to put in a bunch of install and just trying to make sure everybody get the right opportunities, all right, and the right amount of reps. Those guys have been doing a really good job with the reps that they've been getting. I'm excited about the progress that we're made. I'm excited about KJ. He done got a little bigger, all right, so he can be a little more thick tackler. I'm excited about Dink. He's been in the system now. He understands how we work and how we play. Kyron, he wasn't doing a lot in spring. So him to come out and getting the reps that he getting in fall is a blessing. Jamali's a guy who same thing. He got here and he was a little banged up from the injury at ECU. And he's coming in and he's doing a good job of what we're doing. So right now it's just a competition. And the one thing that everybody got to understand is production matters. Right. And now as we start to go into day 7 of practice, then now we can kind of figure out exactly from who's producing the most. And then we start to decide then who's going to be the guys that's trotting out there when we step out on the field in September.
So really clear stuff. And I don't remember. I listened to his entire interview, but he mentioned that Khalil Barnes is playing everywhere. I mean, I think Khalil Barnes is not where he's going to start. He will be out there. He has come in and done everything that the coaching staff has asked. Very athletic. It's deep. Man, that secondary is deep. That corner room is deep. This linebacker room is deep. They're a little bit. I mean, would you guys agree with this? These coaches are a little bit less. I would say they can't hide it as well as Kirby does in his pressers, right? They're letting some more information out that I think Kirby would be a little bit more zippered up about, since we're using that word a lot tonight. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about what T. Rob said about the safeties? What comes to mind right off the bat?
Who is Dink?
So that's Rayshawn Dinkins.
Thank you. Okay. I feel like I'm sorry. I should have known that, but
okay.
He said his name a couple of times, and I'm like, who?
Who's
But KJ, man, getting bigger. That makes me so happy, because
that
was maybe his only drawback, was that he wasn't like a Cam Chancellor, like a lay the wood type of dude. He was a good cover guy, and he's not afraid to tackle. But now, is he going to be even better at it? Because that's scary. Because he was already one of the better safeties in the nation. And if he's getting bigger and stronger and a little faster, then look out. And it's good to hear about Jamarly Riddle. That makes me happy, because I like him. He was one of my favorite off-season portal guys that we got. So that's good. That's awesome. That was awesome to hear him say that.
Yes. Agreed. Richman, you want to add to that?
Dude, he sounded like to me his wallet had a bunch of money in it.
You talking about T-Rex, or you talking about?
He's got plenty.
Oh, yeah.
Plenty of talent.
Missed that one. Very good.
Pocket full of talent.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think, man, we're very deep, man. We're really blessed. And I think when I look at that, I just look at it as, you're setting yourself up for a run. You know that, knock on wood, injuries are going to happen, but it's like, what are you going to do? It's going to happen all over the SEC and all over college football. But what are you going to do, and where are you going to be when that happens? And I think we've shown. It's funny because people always ask, what is George doing in the portal? And it's like, are you hearing these names? Like, you're hearing the Khalil Barnes and the Jamari Riddles and the Gentry Williams, and it's like, yeah, it's roster retention, and it's what you need, not what you. It's kind of like going in the cupboard and going, I'm not really hungry right now, but I guess I'll grab this because it's there.
Right.
You don't need it. You don't need it. So I'm going to play this one last because it's kind of the hype comment. Kind of leave the offensive line to last, but a lot of great things happen with the offensive line. Number one, I would tell you is I've mentioned it in multiple TikTok posts, but Ernest Green is at the best playing weight he's ever been at Georgia. He looks really, really good. Juan Gaston has dumped 20 to 30 pounds and is playing at his best playing weight. He was playing at 350/340 last year. He's going to be playing more close to 325 this year, which is huge for him.
That is awesome.
He looks really good. I think we're seeing the Phil Rauscher play pay off a little bit already. That partnership with Sinclair. I'm hearing that a lot of these running backs are not getting thudded until at least 2 or 3, yards into the play, which is huge because, we're not guys. We just talked about how good our defense is going to possibly be this year. And if they're not getting thudded until 2 or 3 yards in, that means this offensive line is doing their job, right? Do you agree?
Yep.
Sounds good.
Oh, yeah.
One of those guys I didn't just mention. Go ahead, Fish.
No. I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah, one of those guys I didn't mention is everybody has maybe said this, but some people that are hearing for the first time, I think you're going to see another freshman start on the offensive line this year. And I wanted to let you guys hear really why I think Zakai Helton, and a lot of you guys, if you don't know, they're calling him Zyke, but he goes by Zakai, and apparently he means it. So he corrects the coaches and he lets them know who his name is, because every coach so far has mentioned when they have corrected everyone when they say Zyke to Zakai. But I thought it would be really cool to understand who he is and why this freshman has earned possibly the nod to start at right guard. And we are hearing more about freshmen and young offensive linemen being starters for Georgia. This is kind of cool from Trey Scott. And it's also cool to hear from Trey Scott. You don't hear much of him. He's not a man of many words during the season, so I thought this was pretty cool to listen to. Let's hear what Trey Scott said about Zakai Hilton.
Coach, over here, I was just wondering, did you get a chance to watch Psyche Helton play against Buford? Zakai in for Carrollton in the
I want him
yeah.
currently.
That's what I was about to ask. I
want Zakai.
As just what did you think about him when you saw him, and just what were those conversations like?
It was funny because just in recruiting him, Zakai loves O-line, and I love him playing O-line, center guard, wherever he wants to play. But I always would joke with him like, "Hey man, just come do some indie drills with," and he's open to it. But we like for me, Zakai is literally one of my, if not favorite player on this team currently, because of the way he approached things. And then some people don't know some things that he had to battle through in high school and stuff. And so to see him have a resilient mindset, we got in our program, fire, passion, energy is one of our kind of core DNA traits. And so if you're at practice, sometimes you might see a blue hat, during the spring as a rookie. For me to give him a blue hat or to like let him know what it represented, like it's everything. And he's approached it the right way. And he a team guy too. So I love him. I love that about him even more. But I would love for him to steal 5 to 10 snaps, and he could do it too.
So sounds like to me, it's a little bit of a I kind of want this guy too from Trey Scott. That just kind of shows you maybe why he's turning heads. It could possibly, guys, it's not a given, man, to start, on Georgia's offensive line. Better yet, as a freshman, like Richman, I know you're always really,
I'll tell you something.
what should I say, hard on the offensive line. What's that?
Something interesting about this. We're going to have depth at center because Bobo starts. Juan Gaston played center some last year, and now we got Zakai that can play center. So that's some serious depth at your leader, your main offensive lineman at center. That's huge right there.
Yep. Yeah. And you also hear a lot about Buford, right? So what are you noticing about, you got KJ Bolden? Obviously, a lot of people will tell you straight up about Buford. You go to that facility, you go to that program. Some people take a downgrade in facilities when they go to college from Buford. Some take an upgrade. But, you've seen KJ Bolden coming out of there. You've seen now Zakai, and also the name to know that it's been talked about a lot is Ty Boogie, which is Tyreek Boogie. What is Tyreek's last name? I want to call him Stevenson, but Tyreek Stevenson played for us. Green, thank you. Tyreek Green, Boogie Green. You're hearing a lot about him. He also played running back. He also played on the defensive side of the ball for Buford. You got to wonder if KJ recruited all of them, right?
Oh, yeah.
But, man, like, it just excites you, man. It really excites you. Today's an off day to hear the coaches. I really enjoyed. I usually don't listen. I'll be honest. I don't listen to the assistant coaches on their pressers at the beginning of the year because I do feel like it sounds a little bit routine. But this year, I'm kind of glad I did. So here's the thing. I thought it'd be fun for the listeners and for us to kind of open things up at the end. I sent you some stuff in your notes, and I thought it'd be cool to have if you had to bet today, and we got some predictions in here. I thought it'd be cool to have a lightning round, and let's go to each box. I'll kind of lead it, and I'll lead through these questions. Some of these questions, I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see what everybody's got. We'll do a lightning round. This is kind of how we'll end it. We'll have some closing comments, and then we'll go from there, man. Looking forward to Saturday's first scrimmage. I have a couple of more practices this week on Thursday, Friday, and a scrimmage on Saturday. But let's start with this. We'll go in order of we'll go in alphabetical order. So we'll go A, R, and then T. So we'll go Adam Fish first. We'll go Rich, and then I'll tag one on. So this will be lightning. First thing that comes to your mind. Don't think through it. Don't talk through it. You guys ready? Georgia's final record this year, regular season, not including playoffs. Final record, what do you think? Go Fish.
11-1.
11-1. What about you, Rich?
11-1.
You think there's a loss out there, right? ESPN's got us at 12-0. You're right. I said we couldn't talk about
You want to know
this.
where?
Tuscaloosa.
No siree. It's hard to beat. It's hard to beat the Rebels.
Yeah,
over
at
there.
Ole Miss. Well, luckily we got a year. We got a couple games before that, so we'll see how Ole Miss is doing by the time we get there. Fish SEC
They're gonna be salty
record.
this year.
Yeah, 9 SEC games this year. SEC record. What do you got?
8-1.
8-1. About you, Richard?
8-1.
I just literally read the government off the corner right there, Rich. Man. All right, I'll go 8-1. I think there's a loss out there, but 9-0 is going to be tough for any team in the SEC. So
Yep.
I'll stay away from that. Fish, leading rusher.
Nate Frazier.
Rich.
Frazier.
I'm going to go with Frazier too. But who knows? Chauncey Bowens.
Who knows? That's true. I mean,
You never
anybody
know.
could get hot in that room.
That's
yeah,
right.
anybody could get hot
Based on
behind that line.
based on the last year, I just go with Frazier.
Fish, include any. We just talked about this. Any receiver, anybody who is receiving the football, leading receiver this year. Go.
Talon Taylor.
Rich.
I got Humphrey.
I got London Humphreys, man. I think London Humphreys is going to have a crazy.
He's going to be your
good year.
possession receiver, I think.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and
You guys go check out the take from Georgia. Doesn't usually do this, but there's a magazine that does an article about freaks. It's like they call it like freaks on the field from the SEC, and usually Georgia doesn't partake in it, but they did this year. I don't know how, or either maybe they just made some crap up. But there's 2 players that were on that list. One of them was Chris Cole. You know who the other one was? London Humphreys.
Really?
Freak. They called him freak on the field. Now, I think why is because he's still on punt. He's still on kickoff. He's still playing with the ones. His physicality, they're basically throwing water on him for 30 seconds, and he's getting back out there in 100-degree weather right now. And he's leading at a high level. I think London Humphreys is due for a breakout year this year.
And they were talking about his speed, his vertical jump, and he deadlifts 300 pounds. No, not 300. It was his deadlift. I don't know. It was a weight lift. I don't know what it was, but it was something big. Not 300, because that's not really.
He's
big for
definitely he's a freak, man. He's having a really good camp too, and he's leading at a really high level. Fish, defensive MVP.
Raylan Wilson.
Rich.
Man,
tough one.
I'm gonna say Chris Cole.
I got.
I mean, I actually had a toss up, but so my toss up I had Ellis, but if I don't want a defensive back to be our MVP, because that means people are getting too much yardage on us. So I'm going with Cole.
I think it's the opposite. I think KJ Bolden. I think if somebody's named the MVP, that means we're locking stuff down. I saw that ball in the air for more than 30 yards, 40 yards, too much last year. I'm saying KJ Bolden, and I think the top is going to be closed.
Yeah.
I think the top on that defense will be closed.
I actually wrote down all 3: Bolden, Ellis, Cole. I mean, I was just like, dude, that's just
Tough
crazy.
question. Tough question. Should have said top 3, right? Fish, breakout freshman.
Breakout freshman. Give me Zakai Helton.
I like Rich.
I'm gonna go Prothrow.
Prothrow. I like it. Man, you guys took mine. I'll go Zakai. I will tell you, he's got freshman in his name, red shirt. Craig Dandridge is a receiver to look out for that they really like and they're targeting a lot. Craig Dandridge, a name to remember. Biggest surprise, Fish. And this doesn't have to be a player. Scenario, coach.
Biggest surprise. I don't know. That's tough. Like right off the rip. Let me go DeMello. His development, he's turned it. If he's potentially anywhere near being as good as Ellis, then awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna reverse y'all. I'm gonna say Zakai.
Okay. Biggest surprise. Love it. I'm gonna go off of the players, and I'm gonna say that the running game is going to create the play action that's needed for these receivers. I think people are really talking too much about
Dude, I love
how
that.
Gunner has to create explosiveness just with calling a play in with his arm. I think if we can run the ball effectively, as good as these running backs are and as good as this offensive line is predicted to be, I think it immediately opens up the play action. And I think that's what's going to be the surprise is it's not going to come from lining up and throwing the football just naturally. Biggest disappointment, Fish. It's a tough one too right here because
Lord, I don't know. Go punt return. I mean, I've got a lot of faith in Scovey, but replacing Zach Branch, that's tough. That's some big shoes to fill. Well, he wasn't very tall, so maybe mid-sized shoes to fill. But
it's tough. It's a tough question, man. It really is because you don't want to. You want to keep the high hopes up, but there's something going to be in there. What about you, Rich? Biggest disappointment you think that may happen here?
I'm going to go with a transfer. I'm going to go with Braylon Conley from USC. Just because I don't really have anything to base that on except some of the transfers we brought in just hadn't been stellar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think what could be the biggest disappointment too might be something that even if you look away from a player per se, but one of the biggest disappointments could possibly be, we're talking about this is what I don't want to happen. I don't want to put this in the air, but we're talking about trying to create explosive plays on defense, get to the quarterback. But I think what could be a disappointment is not to hype ourselves up too much. Should be good against the run, right? Yeah. We can't just pin our ears back. We got to be disciplined. So we got to be careful that the disappointment isn't that we're not good against the run, because that exposes way more than sometimes because that can bleed the whole game, man. It really, when you have to start putting bodies in there and you're overcorrecting stuff. We saw the pain we went through 2 years ago of not being able to stop the run. It was horrible.
We
Every Saturday,
don't want our
it was
defensive backs making run stops.
Right.
We want our linebackers to make them.
That's right.
Yes, I agree. Fish SEC championship opponent. Who would Georgia be playing in the SEC championship?
Texas.
I got Oklahoma.
Yeah,
I think Oklahoma's going to be much better. I think the Red River rivalry. That means you guys are basically picking Texas over Oklahoma. All right.
If it all pans out, man, Texas is loaded. We
Texas
got a
is
squad,
loaded.
but Texas has $100 million on the roster.
We play Oklahoma, and
we play Oklahoma at home.
Fish and I think we're going to take care of them.
That's right.
I think we're going to take care of them. I think it's going to be a damn good game. You guys can't look past the fact that if Oklahoma learns how to run the football, and John Mateer actually figures out he has an arm along with those two legs, it could get very interesting because they're recruited very well.
That's who a lot of people are talking about, especially at media days. But Oklahoma,
everybody's going to be tough this year. Florida's going to be tougher this year. South Carolina's going to be a pain in the butt because they always are. Mizzou might be the easiest SEC game we play.
Could be. Or Vandy.
I'm going to be honest with you. There's Texas, there should be a study behind the drop-off in offensive productivity under Steve Sarkisian at Texas.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it at that. He's had the best quarterbacks. He's had the best wide receivers. He's got Ryan Wingo and Cam Coleman. And if he digresses this year, guys, we'll talk about it more when games start.
The only thing that would piss the football gods off more than putting Ferraris on your field during recruiting days is bringing out a bunch of e-bikes and scooters.
Maybe he might be coaching from an e-bike. I don't know. Sarkisian's funny, man.
They're just paying for that. The football gods frowned on that, I'm telling you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Fish, college football playoff seed. Last question.
Our seed? I don't want to be the SEC. And honestly, I don't. I honestly don't. If we lose the one game and then there's two teams that are better in front of us that went 9-0, Texas, Oklahoma, or whoever, well, it can't be Oklahoma, but somebody, I don't know, because, dude, that layoff kills us. I don't care what you say. You lose your edge, man.
I'm going to make a bold prediction. I think we win the SEC and beat Texas again. Sarkisian gets kicked out. We're going to have a month bye, and we're going to actually win our first playoff game.
God, I hope so. We haven't won a playoff game since they went to 12. So
right,
you might could sell that ticket at IMAX, bro. That's a movie. Give me the popcorn for that one.
Heck
dude. Here's the
I'll
thing
wait in
too.
line for a few hours.
Don't quote me on this.
that would be a good SEC story. I'll guarantee you.
I agree. Don't quote me on this, but I don't know if this is the year or next year, but supposedly the winners of each conference are going to get to now pick their basically pick their path per se.
Really?
Yeah. So
That's
highest
interesting.
seed. Yeah. I don't know if that starts this year or next year. I'll get that info, but I do know that it was brought out. That was the only adjustment that was made.
The adjustment needs to
CFP
be that you just
preseason.
don't take a month off. You know, you play everyone
That's
a game
ridiculous.
every weekend until it's
Yeah.
over.
Or maybe you get a bye week between the SEC championship and the playoff, but not a month, bro. That's just too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Last question. When we look back at this episode in December, what's one thing you think we're going to say? We saw that coming in fall camp. Like, what is it? What are we going to say if we look back in December at this episode that may or may not be true? Or may it's just like we said that and look what happened. What do you think, Fish? You go first.
That we were explosive. That we
I
were
think
explosive.
I
Take a
think
shot.
we're going to look back and the defense is going to dominate. It's going to carry us through another SEC championship and get us that first playoff win in the 12-game playoff system. That's what I think.
That's a good one. You took mine. That's a good one. But I had another one. I think that when we look back at this episode, we are going to look and be like, I can't believe everybody was worried about the wide receiver room. Can't believe it. And it's going to be because of the fact that the dinosaurs, is that the wrong word for them? Like, what do you call like the superheroes? I don't even know what to call them, man. Like, we got to figure out a name for the tight end room because
Zippers.
The zippers.
The zippers, man.
The zippers, baby.
Listen, I just think we're going to just look back and be like, we were not us. I mean, trust me, there's plenty more TikTok videos where people are going to hop in and say some stupid crap this year. But like, I think when you look at it, you're like, guys, we're not just going to get productivity through the air through our wide receivers. But here's the thing too. We can't not expect, one coach we didn't hear from was James Coley. I don't know why, but we can't not expect that freshman underlining of Talon Taylor, Tyler Williams, CJ Wiley, Thomas Blackshear, all these guys, they're on this roster. We are not in lack. These are 4 and 5 star receivers. So I just can't see us unless James Coley got fired and I didn't know about it. I just can't see us not making some productivity. I think there are going to be some receivers that step up. I think Talon will. But I mean, there's going to be some receivers that step up, but I think these freaking zippers, man, they're going to be, dude, we're going to go viral
Every
for
time
this,
a tight
man.
end catches a ball, people are going to be going zip, zip,
zip, zip.
We might be the first one to break this.
Oh, well, let's do it.
Wild, man. Hey, guys,
So we haven't talked about
Go
Gunner.
ahead.
The word on the street is that they've changed his throwing motion and he's quicker. But also, there's
God, I hope
also
so.
been less talk about him not being as accurate. Has anybody heard anything on that?
I heard
Fish,
what
you
you said. He has like tried to make his motion more compact.
Mhm.
I know that. I did hear that today, actually. But I haven't heard that he's any more or less accurate with it. But I know that they're working on it.
Yeah.
But I've heard Puglisi is dialed in, hitting everything. Have y'all heard that?
Yep, I sure have. Montgomery too.
Yeah, I've heard Puglisi
So
has solidified that second string.
Yeah, I think. And another thing we hadn't talked about too is, I mean, if for the season to kind of go sideways on us, if Gunner gets hurt running the ball, but I think we're going to be okay with Puglisi. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of game experience, but he definitely has got a rocket for an arm.
Yes,
I know I've abused this tonight, but I'll add this again. If you guys watch the SEC Media Days, Gunner is one thing he worked on over the off season was his nutrition and his body. Gunner's bigger, man. He's bigger. He's a little bulkier. He's kind of a little jacked, man. Like I think the fans need to wait to see Gunner. As far as arm talent, I think Gunner will be fine as far as his body. As far as arm talent, though, I mean, all I can say is like you need Gunner I don't need Gunner in the first, second, third quarter to go out and make a play. I need Gunner to, when you need to do that, when you need to put it in the breadbasket like Tennessee, When that he showed he can do that, that's all we need him to do.
Well, wasn't Jake Fromm came out and said that Gunner's going to be the most consistent, productive quarterback in the NCAA this year? Anybody hear that?
Yes, I did. I heard it on Dawgs 247. Yeah, I did hear that.
That's kind of interesting because he's kind of got more inside information than what most of us are going to be getting. So I'm excited, man. I'd love to see Gunner. I want to see Gunner run over some people too because I love that.
He's in good playing shape, man. If you can say one thing that you've seen, we're not here. We'll see some. I mean, I've seen some pictures. We'll see some stuff from the scrimmage Saturday, but we're hearing. I mean, strength and conditioning, nutrition has been a plus for all these kids, and to add on to that, the whole thing with Fromm talking about Gunner. I mean, there is a higher percentage of these sports outlets that have Gunner as the second best quarterback in the SEC behind Trinidad Chambliss than they do having Arch. Arch is trending in that third spot as far as that's not us. That's everybody that's in the SEC going. You had to go top 3 quarterbacks in the SEC. Right now, the consistent run is Trinidad Chambliss, Gunner Stockton, Arch Manning. You didn't hear it here. You heard it. That's what everybody's seeing.
Yeah.
And what they're looking at, and a lot of things that go involved in that, which I like more than just statistical value and pro value, is the fact of who do you want in these situations? Who do you want in the situations where you're 3rd and 7, fourth quarter? I mean, Trinidad Chambliss has shown us that he has big game capability. Gunner Stockton has shown us he can make the right decisions. He's grown up a lot, even from the start in the Sugar Bowl against Notre Dame. Arch had a pretty good second half of the season last year. But I think that's very fair to say when you're calculating those things in, Arch is 3rd in that. We're not talking about just pro talent and talking about what he can be. And I mean, his namesake too doesn't help. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw it, but apparently Buford played Baylor High School and Mother Manning. I mean, guys, but there was a lot of quarterbacks in high school playing that night. And why did that guy get the most? Because you're a Manning.
Because he's a Manning, duh. Yep.
I mean, nobody's talking about Jalen Wade, the number 1 quarterback in the country he's coming to Georgia. I mean,
nope.
Nobody's talking about him, but that dude's a freak.
He's got the wrong last name.
Anyways, man, well, it's been fun. It's been a great episode.
Always.
And it just gets us 1 week closer. We'll have a lot to talk about next week. We'll have the scrimmage game to tear apart and talk about what we saw, what we liked, what we didn't, and maybe that everything we talked about tonight, we might see in the scrimmage and go, all right, all this crap's not true. That's why sometimes what's hype and what's real can be very different until we actually see a game between the hedges. But I'll give you a chance. Fish, final thoughts tonight?
Just excitement, like you said. Like, we're 1 week closer. We got preseason NFL, which I know nobody cares about, but I do because it's football. So, the Falcons play on Friday, the Seahawks play. Just give me football. Just give me football.
Yeah. What about you? What about you, Rich? Final thoughts?
Man, I'm just ready for some football. Just ready.
Yeah.
I pretty much hate the summer. That's why I'm down here in the basement. I'd stay in here all summer long if I could.
Heck yeah, dude.
Dude, I hear you. I'd stay up here all summer long if I could. Final thought for me, zippers.
Zip.
Zippers.
Right.
Zip. Hey, if you haven't already done so, please go and like and follow us. We are on TikTok, Dawgs Down South, Facebook, Dawgs Down South, YouTube, Dawgs Down South, and about any place that has a podcasting platform, we're on there, Apple Podcast. Make sure you go like and follow. We got a ton of episodes up from the summer, SEC summer previews up, and then a lot of fall camp updates as well over there. For myself, for Rich, for Fish, it's been a great night. You guys have a great week. Looking forward to Scrimmage 1. And as always on Dawgs Down South, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. Go Dogs. Touchdown.